Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of the UK Connection. It's also another episode of favorite, least favorite albums. Today, the band is Deep Purple, and my comrades in arms once again are Steven Reid and Simon Bray from the UK. Greetings, gentlemen. How are you? Can you tell I'm happy to be talking about one of my favorite bands of all time today? I'm even wearing a shirt, probably giving something away. I don't give a shit, but whatever. So it's the way it goes, right? You know, I was looking through my stack of Deep Purple shirts to wear for this episode, and I have a lot of them. And I was like, well, that could give it away. That could give it away. That could give one of my picks away. Unfortunately, I didn't have any shirts of the ones that I don't like much, but that's no surprise there. So
I've gone niche. I've gone niche.
That's a good one. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
Great album cover. I mean, I bought it at a show, but I bought it because I really like the album.
Yeah, no, that's a good album too. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good album.
Absolutely. Yes. Simon?
You know,
Simon,
I can't.
Simon looks distressed.
T-shirt, Stephen, stop it. but Peter, I do have my Ramsbottom Festival hoodie on.
Is it just me that Simon was frozen for?
Yeah, Simon. Oh, no, he's back. All right, he was frozen.
There you go. Shall I try that again?
Yes.
Giving it the big build-up. Look at that.
I know. Well, you know that I am wearing my Ramsbottom Festival hoodie.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's Ramsbottom.
Yeah, we're gonna stop that now. Right? It's the new Poughkeepsie. Yeah.
There we go. Sense. Yes. Well, I could say Ramsbottom, right? That's
I love how you say it. Say it for me one more time.
Ramsbottom.
Fantastic.
I know it's supposed to be Ramsbottom.
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 Yeah, I'm a New Yorker. We over accentuate everything. I know this boy's got to be a little more subtle. I know. I'm learning. I'm getting there, guys. Anyway, before we get into the Deep Purple discussion of the day, we have to take care of another bit of business, the beverage selections of the day. Stephen, what do you got today?
Well, I have got what can only be described as a supermarket special. That's what I've got this week. I have gone right down the middle. This is not niche. It's not local. It's just Old Peculiar. That's what it is. And it's a mighty fine beer, I have to say. I do tend to try and find something local. But as I've mentioned before, the beer cupboard is quite full. And we have to sort that. That is not a good thing. So I have got Old Peculiar. We're still in the maiden glass this week again.
There you go.
It kind of it works with the dark one in it, doesn't it? There you go. So I already know that this is good because, I mean, I've had it kind of...
Old Peculiar has been around a long time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I seem to recall that beer I used to see here in New York a bit in the 90s. I don't think I've seen it in quite a long time.
I mean, I don't know how international it is these days, but I would suggest that nearly every decent-sized supermarket in the UK has Old Peculiar.
Yeah, I've seen it here, but not in a long time.
Pretty much ubiquitous in that sense. And I'll tell you what, it's still damn tasty. You know, I mean, it is right down the middle. It's really not anything that anyone's going to go, oh, I've never had that before. But there's a reason for that. It's really quite good.
There you go. Cool. Simon?
Simon the Incredible, I've got, are you ready? Oak-aged vanilla and chocolate porter.
Nice.
Yeah. Can you? It's from our friends at the Garden Brewery in Zagreb. But also, can you guess where else? It's a collab. Can you guess where else they're from?
It looks a little bit like we're in Ukraine here.
It is indeed. It is indeed with the Varvar Brew people in Ukraine, and it's really nice. And I'm going to fall asleep fairly shortly. It's a bit like John Parr's hands. That's how smooth it is. So yes, indeed, it's the beer equivalent of your Uncle John. Absolutely, it's only 5.5%. It's really smooth. Yeah, ready to stack some Zeds on this definitely Saturday evening.
There you go.
I'm just thinking that John Parr must be thinking, you know, I've arrived. I have absolutely arrived. I've been likened to how smooth a beer is.
Yes.
Or at least his hands have.
He's thinking, God bless those Sea Tranquility guys. Man, oh man.
Yeah, I'm confident if he knew, he would have tweeted about it.
He knows.
Yeah.
He's too smooth to let on.
So have you guys ever like taken a chance on a beer? You saw something, you're like, that brewery is really good. I don't know about that beer, but it sounds kind of interesting. Maybe.
Yep. If I haven't heard of something or don't know what it is, I'm going to buy it.
All right. Well, Evil Twin Brewery is a fairly, known brewer here in the States, especially for those who like craft beer stuff. Where are they located? They're in North Haven, Connecticut, all right, of all places. And they have this beer called Roots Beer.
That's a very understated thing compared to
So
normal.
basically, it's 5% malt beverage with milk, sugar, and root beer syrup with natural and artificial flavors and caramel color. I don't drink soda anymore, but I always love root beer. And I was thinking, and this brewery is excellent. So I was thinking, I'm going to give it a try.
Go. Yeah.
So I'm gonna attempt it. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it'll be really good. Maybe this is one of those things that's like so good you want to drink like 8 of them or something like that. But
you could be about to witness a life-changing moment here.
God, I hope so. So let's see. Well, it's got nice. It's got the root beer color. Looks like beer, sort of.
Root
Doesn't
beer
look like
over
soda.
here. What's the equivalent of that? Dandelion and burdock. Is that right? Yeah. It's not quite so catchy, the name for it over here, Peter. As I say, we would call it dandelion and burdock, which I quite like, actually.
Okay. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers. Is it good?
Hold on.
That is what can only be described as a no.
That's really awful.
No, not as good as John Pye's hands, then.
No, that is really awful. Oh, wow. Not only does it not really taste like root beer, it's kind of sour. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, we won't be drinking that. Yeah, thankfully, because I wasn't sure, I brought an old trusty here with me just in case as a backup. So, Warsteiner it is. That will be going down the drain. Ooh, that's bad.
You reminded me of my other half.
It looks like it would be good.
It does, yeah.
It's
If you were one of these farmer market things that's very fashionable these days, lots of nice things at them too.
It's a good 7 days since you had your last Warsteiner beer.
I know. Thankfully, I have a whole fridge full of them.
Excellent.
Oh, see, now that's good.
There you go.
That's
there we go.
no good. Good.
Other half
No good.
She went to try mead, and of course the guy at the stall for her poured it out. And by this time, there's 3 or 4 people standing to look and see, is the meat good? Is the meat good? And she went, oh, no sales today.
I've tried meat a couple times, and once it was amazing, and the other couple times was awful. Like not enjoyable.
I was driving that day, so
I just drink meat before I go pillaging.
And
after pillaging as well.
So yeah. Evil Twin Brewing, I normally like your beers. This is not good. It's not good. I don't know what the
t-shirt for you this week then.
No. Yeah, that is not
or us ever.
No. God. Anyway, Deep Purple. Steven, your 2 favorites. What do you got?
Okay, so I have said on a previous show that we did about a certain band called Whitesnake that when it comes to Deep Purple, realistically, I'm about Mark III. Okay. That doesn't mean to say that both Mark III albums are my favourites, but Burn is just, there you go, Peter, there you are. I mean, Purple's album covers are not great, are they?
No, they're not.
Not great. I mean,
there's a couple that are okay, but
there's a couple that are okay. Yes, absolutely. Also, they're not an indicator of what's inside, because a couple that are okay aren't so good once you do this and take the record out. But there you go. I love Burn. This is how to move on from a lineup, isn't it? Really, it's Purple should have fallen apart. You lose your singer, you lose your bassist. You can't come back from that. You can release an album like Burn. You can get a guy like David Coverdale. You can get a guy like Glenn Hughes. I mean, Stormbringer's an absolute stormer as well. But just 2 phenomenal albums. But the urgency on this album, this is a band with something to prove. This is just incredible. It's their 8th album. It's 1974. They've already been through 2 lineups and really quite a vast amount of change in the sound from the start until we get to here. And this is a marked change, no pun intended, from the Mark II lineup as well. But I mean, you open an album with Burn, That is a statement of intent, isn't it? That's how you do it. It's just, and side one, going back to the show that you did a couple of months ago, Peter, side one to me is vying there for the perfect album side. Might just take your life.
It absolutely
lay down, stay down. And if you look for something a little bit different, you've got the utterly beautiful Sail Away. It's just phenomenal. And yeah, okay, I will admit that A200
throwaway.
And that's the last flavour you're left with when this album is finished, unfortunately.
Yep.
They should have just finished it with Mistreated. Because that's just, it's an absolute classic. But you fool no one, what's going on here? They're not quite headline, but I tell you what, they're not bad at all, are they? And one of the things, I mean, I've already gone on record as well saying how much I like Ian Pace. His drumming is just phenomenal. He's a real good, and I'll come to this as we go through these albums, he's a real marker for me of where the band is. Because when he's on fire, they're on fire. And he's on fire all the way through this entire album. Do you know? And one of the little quirks that I really like about Ian's playing in general, but especially at this stage, is the fills. Not only are they quick and they're fiery and they're incisive, he always starts them a beat or two earlier than you anticipate on the first couple of times you hear the songs. You kind of know they're coming, but then you go, oh, he's halfway through it. And it just drags the music on at such a pace. It just adds that real, oh, wow, I have to pay attention here because they're not quite doing what I anticipate that they're going to do. And this to me, and he puts in great performances across an awful lot of these albums, but this to me is Pace, arguably right at the peak. He's right at his best here, and he's integral to absolutely everything that's happening. And I love Burn. I always have done. From the very first time I heard this album, I have adored it, and that has just never diminished over the years. And I did have a debate about the second one. I had no debate about what my favourite was going to be. It was always going to be Burn, and it probably always will be Burn. You know, nothing is ever going to change that. So that's my favourite, and not by a huge distance, but by a clear margin. From there was a little bit of debate. Not going for Stormbringer. I really like Stormbringer. I think it's a little step down from Burn personally. I know that a lot of people prefer it. I can get that because there's some great stuff on it. There's some great stuff on it. Okay. This was the other real contender for me because it is a classic seminal album. Okay. But when it comes to Mark II, personally, I have to go with Machine Head. 1972, sixth album. I mean, it's just a classic. It really is. And I mean, any album that's going to close with Space Truckin', I'm in. I'm absolutely in. I mean, it's even better on some of the live albums, to be fair. But even studio, Space Truckin' is just, it's hard to beat. It really is. It's one of my favourite Purple songs. It's just so good. But then you get things like Pictures of Home. What a vocal. What a vocal in here. I mean, I will wax lyrical about Coverdale and Hughes, the singing, the way that they, you know, one takes the lead, the other takes the lead, then they come together. It's something special. Gillan's doing all the heavy lifting on his own in that sense. And he's just, it's sometimes you have to really think about just how good he was back then, you know, because the years have taken a little bit of a toll on Ian, shall we say, and that's a bit of a shame because at one point he was the pinnacle of rock vocalists. I don't think to me, there's not much argument about that. Some people will, and probably will in the comments. I'm cool with that because it's guys like Plant and things about at this stage too. I'm a Gillan man when it comes to those two. But there's amazing stuff in here. Lazy is great. Maybe I'm a Leo. It's not really vital, but it's still a really good song. Yeah, okay. Smoke on the Water. Do I ever really need to hear it ever again? And it's become a bit of a joke. It's bloody great though, isn't it? It is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I mean, I will probably be able to never hear it again in my life and die happy. I've got to be honest to say that. But when it comes on, I'm going to with everybody else as well, you know. So that's my favourite too. It's quite straight down the line. I would suggest it's maybe not what we've all chosen, but Burn and Machine Head are just incredible, seminal rock albums. Really important in the story of rock and informing of what came later. And these have influenced countless bands and albums over the years, along with some other Purple albums too, to be fair. So that's my favourite.
Cool. Simon, what do you got?
I noticed you went Stephen first this week. You don't normally do that. You change with the format.
No reason. I just.
Because just for once I was going to play it straight and go straight into my choices. I would say that I listened to Burn today, and by God, it's absolutely phenomenal, isn't it? It really is, and it's so close to inching into my favourites. But these are favourites, not best, as we say every week. Yep. Yes, indeed. And I love two. Well, I love quite a lot. Let's be brutally honest. Deep Purple, but I've gone with Fireball.
Yes.
And you talk about perfect sides. Kind of just go with Fireball, No, Demon's Eyes as a trio to start off with. Mm-hmm. Then almost rest my case. But you know what? I'm thinking about Deep Purple. I'm never really thinking about the funsies. You never think Deep Purple. They're a bunch of myth makers. But Ian Gillan has so much fun on Anyone's Daughter. Okay, let's try that sentence again without trying to get in trouble. But you know,
that's kind of not any more questionable than the lyrics.
Exactly. You know, I would pay to watch them turn up and do that in 2022.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but you know what? Sexy. It's like I've got the copy I've got with me. It's the reissue with the. Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. Crap.
I have that one. I have that one too. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's got, yes, that's the one. That's the one. But I can't. Sometimes, you know, I think when we're talking about Magnum and the reissue of Storytellers Night, that's really good. I can actually listen to the extra tracks on this almost to the end.
Yeah, not quite.
No, but not quite. But it does have Strange Kind of Woman on it. As what a tune. You know, it's nearly as good as Space Trucking. But it actually must be, because it's my favorite Deep Purple song. So
I will say, you know, we were talking about how Deep Purple's album covers are generally not that great. I will say Fireball is one of the coolest album covers.
Yeah, and also, I mean, check out the Burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, come on.
That's cool. That's cool.
Can't argue. Cool.
Yep.
Less cool.
Not cool.
But you know, yeah. Yeah. There you go. Okay, Steve, can you do this also? What about that one?
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I'm not on vinyl. I can't. No, I can only match.
There you go. There you go. And that's my other choice, because this is really kind of like where I came in. With Purple, you know, remember somebody 17 at the time, and all the magazines go, Deep Purple are back, you've got to buy it. And, okay, I will do, because they're back. Yay. And the opening of Knocking at Your Back Door, you know, when the bass comes in, it goes, and then keys come in there. Yeah, I love it. But you know what? Let's remind ourselves of the lyrics, shall we?
Yeah.
Sweet Lucy was a dancer, but none of us would chance her. Fucking hell. Yeah, because she was a samurai. Yeah, she made electric shadows beyond our fingertips, and none of us could reach that high. She came on like a teaser, and I had to touch and please her. Enjoy a little paradise. The log was in my pocket. I mean, Jesus Christ, when Lucy met the rocket. Come on, fellas. Yeah. Really?
The funny thing is, I mean, those are Ian's lyrics, and the rest of them, do you mean to tell me nobody else in that band were like, this is kind of bizarre, Ian, you know? It's like,
Ian, what have you been taking, fella?
I mean, to be fair, this is the band that gave us Anyone's Daughter. So, I mean,
yes, exactly.
They were really not questioning that. They were really going, great stuff, Ian, great stuff. Yeah. So,
it is a great tune. I love the album. It's my favorite first. Because it's where I came in, but I just Under the Gun, yeah, Nobody's Home, Mean Street, the title track. I love, you know, when I saw them a few years ago now, and Donna did like some guitar solo, which was awesome, and then he played the opening chords to Perfect. You know, that's some Simon Sex coming out at that point. Yeah, Ooh, what just awesome. Yep. Gypsy's Kiss, where's his Hungry Days? Not responding. Just great. I love it. I just love it so much. I really do. I really do.
You know, Simon,
and just look at them on the back there. Yeah.
Lord is killing it. Look at him. He's lording it.
He really is. And do you know what? I mean, I'll go on to say this later. You think there's a man who's completely irreplaceable.
Well, there you go.
Not to be the case, but I wholeheartedly recommend this record.
Did you get to go see them on that tour? No,
I hadn't started gig going at that point.
Oh, okay, all right, got you.
I'm a little fetus compared to you.
Yeah, I know. I'm an old fuck. What can I tell you?
But those are my two favorites.
Do you know, Simon, I had that album on in the car while I was reviewing this entire catalogue. Some of which I didn't know quite as well as I thought I did, but there you go. So I'll come to that. And my daughter, who I just picked up from work, was trying to talk to me, and I would not allow her to because I was going dididin, 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 and she would go, and I go dididin, dididin. Just have to do that. She's
yeah.
You can't get a word in edgewise, right? No, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just annoying all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think I back before this album came out, I remember, I think the first time I heard about the Deep Purple reunion was in Kerrang magazine, because we would get Kerrang over here as imports. Some specialty record shops would carry Kerrang. And I remember one day walking in there and there was the Deep Purple on the front. They're getting back together. And I'm like, what? And I remember the day that album came out, I was in college. I drove wherever I had to go to get that. I drove to Rock Fantasy is where I drove to go get that. But yeah, had to happen, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
So for everybody watching, I this list should be no surprise to anybody. Number one is in rock, my favorite album of all time, one of the most important heavy rock albums of all time. It's got Child in Time, it's got Speed King on it, it's got Bloodsucker on it, it's got Into the Fire, so many great songs. Hard Loving Man, whatever. The Black Knight came about this time, it was a single and all that kind of shit. I love this. I don't mind that album cover. It's kind of iconic. I don't know, but that's my number one. And my number two and number three kind of fluctuate a lot over the years. We had Fireball was just mentioned. That's generally up there. Machine Head is generally up there as well. But in recent years, it's all about Burn. Yes, I foreshadowed it. This is great. Like Steven mentioned, you don't lose two really important members and regroup and come back with an album like this. Most bands would never be able to do that, but these guys did. And I will say Burn is one of the greatest heavy rock songs of all time.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Child in Time, Burn would be my favorite Deep Purple song. It's amazing. And it's even better on the Made in Europe live album, which to me is the ultimate version of it of all time. Sail Away is tremendous. You Fool No One is tremendous. Might Just Take Your Life. It's great. Mistreated, great. Love it. Back to Steven.
Okay, so oddly, in between my two favorites comes my least favorite. So this is Who Do We Think We Are from 1973. This was birthed the same year as me. This is the band's seventh album. It was the fourth for Mark II. And I mean, they were on a roll by this stage. Do you know? But this is remarkably uninspired. This is a band who sound bored. Do you know? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it opens with Woman from Tokyo. Same again. There are better versions of this than live albums. You can say that for nearly every Purple song, but that's only because the live albums are so damn good. And we're doing studio albums for favourite and least favourite. Rules change for a wild card. But from there on in, I mean, it's not all terrible, but they just don't sound interested. Our Lady is really uninspired. I mean, Lord and Pace really just sound like they would rather be doing something else entirely. And when you consider what came before and then what would follow, where's the fire? Where's that passion that you hear on those songs? I mean, Pace barely plays a drum break in the whole bloody album. It's just, I mean, he's doing 4 on the floor. I mean, you add in, I mean, that's a garbage cover. I mean, I'm saying there's some bad covers in this catalogue. I mean, This is just a whole thing that just says not interested. Just not interested. Can we do something else, please? So yeah, this has long been my least favourite. And that, I mean, for some people that'll be heresy because it's Mark II. And I know that there are less favourable eras of the band. But this is a great band not bothering, in my humble opinion. They can't be bothered at this stage. And that's a travesty. It's an absolute travesty. So that's my least favourite Purple album and has been probably since I got it. It's one that, you know, when you're, I mean, as I say, that came out the year I was born. So when you're getting into a band like that and you're obviously going backwards through this catalogue, there are albums that you bring home and you put them on and you just immediately go, huh? Always been one of those albums for me and I've never managed to get over it. So my other least favourite, there was two real contenders. I mean, yeah, okay, I don't know if I'm going to steal Emma's thunder. This is nonsense. It's not my least favourites because it just doesn't count. I'm holding something that doesn't exist in my world, okay? This is not real, okay? It's not here. I know it was a lockdown album and all this sort of stuff, but I've never thrown a CD across the room ever in my life. I could with this one. So, with that said, okay, the only other serious choices I had, one was this, and I played it again today and went, actually, this is really good. And it confirmed something that I'll come to later on. There's not a bad album remorse on it. Okay, I've said that out loud, everybody. Fill the comments with whatever you want. Okay, so that left me with this. Okay, and I talk about bad album covers. This is a good album cover. And look, boys and girls, after all these years, they've found a logo. Hey, it's same again. I mean, this was meant to be, supposedly, this was meant to be the second Joel and Turner Rain Purple album, okay? And it didn't quite work out that way. And they also had lined up Mike DeMeo, who would go on to be an excellent singer of Riot. And these songs were kind of worked up for these two guys, and then they got Gillan back in the band because they all love each other, really. Okay, and basically Ian went, these are all utter nonsense because we don't do stuff like this. And then Richie went, yes, we do. And from there, it all went really well. And they called the album The Battle Rages On because they don't like each other, those two. But there you go. It sounds to me like a compromised mess. I'll be honest again and say I listened to this last couple of days. It's not as bad as my memory would tell you. But am I going to listen to it over very much in the catalogue? No, is the answer to that. No. I would rather listen to all the Mark I albums compared to this. I would definitely rather listen to the earlier Mark II stuff. Perfect Strangers is awesome. All the Mark III stuff, the Mark IV stuff, you get the message here. Is it awful? No. Would I listen to this over Deep Purple? No. So this is my second least favourite. And as I say, it's gone up on my estimations this week when we've been listening to this catalogue. But how about that? It's still a band kind of going, yeah. Here you go.
Simon?
Excellent. Well, I was going to go with, and then I listened to it, and it's all right. You know, it's sat there for many years, not being listened to. It's all right. It's not bad. I thought it's not terrible. You know, it's good. And then, Stephen, as you know, because you know, I listened to that. What the fuck? I mean, Jesus Christ. Yes, Stephen. Yes. I know what we were discussing before we went on and what we like. Well, if I wanted to listen to Bad Foreigner, if I wanted to listen to Bad Company, yes, that's where I'm now. I've so wanted to like this for probably the last 25, 30, and it's shite. It's just not. It's more like Rainbow than Deep Purple. It's not. You know how I like it when bands are not like they should be. You know, when Kiss aren't Kissy.
I mean, it's more Rainbow than some Rainbow, let's be honest.
Yeah, and the cover is absolute dog shit.
Yeah, it is.
Not that you ever listen. I mean, you know, I've said before, you don't ever listen to the cover, do you? But Jesus Christ, no.
And how about that logo, right? Lack of.
What about the floating eyes and stuff? Just what? No, did somebody do it for their coursework? you know, did somebody then make the music for the chorus? No, don't like it. And I tried so hard. This is the album that I've listened to the most since we decided we were doing this. To try and find some good shit. And I really still, and do you know what? There are things on it that aren't terrible, and then there's the rest. So yeah. But do you know what, Stephen? You did steal my thunder ever so slightly. I'm going to surprise you now because I've got the vinyl version.
Oh,
Wow.
It's a really excellent package. It really is. It's really, really good. It's on sale in HMV in the UK for $10.99. I couldn't not pick it up, could I?
You were robbed.
I really was. Jesus. Oh Christ, I'm like, I do like the Battle of New Orleans, but it's like your granddad's got pissed and gone into the dog and duck with his mates. Oh, jeez.
Who convinced Ian Gillan that was a good idea? I mean, do you know who did that?
Roger sat outside Aldi now with a can of Aldi cider or something. Look at him.
Right now, Roger is thinking, do you know, I think that Ozzy might record a video for Bark at the Moon.
It's ever such a good package. It's just the actual, disc on it. Oh, God,
the CD package is the CD, right? Because it's got the measurements for them standing in front of the criminal.
Can we have a show of hands, please, gentlemen? Who, and I think we've discussed this one before, ever needs to hear a version of Oh Well? Another one. Hands up, come on. You at the back? Yes, you. Wacky the Giraffe? Yep, nope, he doesn't need to. What about another version of Shape of Things? Anyone? White Room? Anyone?
No.
Do you see my point? No. Just no. And do you know what? There's so much talent within the band that it can't be shockingly bad. And I really do like the Battle of New Orleans. But do you know what? I can't imagine me ever going upstairs and think, do you know what? I'm going to listen to this one more time. It's going to go back in the Deep Purple section, and it's going to live out until I die, and until my kids go, I don't like this shit. We'll sell it.
We'll sell it. We'll get nothing for it. That's exactly.
We'll pay for somebody to take this crap off our hands.
I have, I would imagine, a condition of completism. Okay.
Yeah. $10.99.
I cracked this open and listened to the day that I bought it because that's what you do. That's why you spend your money. And in the last week or two, I have gone from the first Deep Purple album right the way through to the very end and listened to every studio album in order. And today, it became the turn of this one. And even the completist, the guy who, hello, my name's Stephen and I have a problem, could not force himself to put this in the CD player and press play. I couldn't do it. And you've made me acknowledge its existence. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing.
It is, and I'm sure it's one of those albums where you think, "Hey, they're having a lot of fun, aren't they?" I'm not.
Please don't inflict your fun on me.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm like you. I bought it because I love the band so much, and I'm a completist. Absolutely. And then I remember, I remember looking at the track list, and I'm like, this is not going to be good. And then I listened to it, and I'm like, this is not good. And I forced myself to listen to it like 4 or 5 times because I wanted to review it and whatever. And I put it on the shelf. And today is the first time I have pulled it off the shelf since it came out. And which, God, this was last year already. Holy shit. Yeah, it's not good. I didn't include it today because it's so bad that it's like, it's a given that this is, God, I'm disgusted now. Anyway, I was more disappointed, right? Because I was like, yeah, a new Purple album. Yes, great. God. Oh no, not a covers album. Please tell me it's not a covers album. Fuck, it's a covers album.
I mean, and as Simon has already mentioned, I mean, it's a covers album, but the selections are so, and I get it. These covers albums are all songs that matter to the people that are covering them. I do totally get that. It's the most uninspired selection of songs that you could have chosen that as a joke, those songs. Couldn't you? You could genuinely start down and go, let's do the most hackneyed, overplayed, unexciting songs to cover and put them down there. And we could have done a show on it. Let's make the worst covers album ever, track selection. Thank you, Deep Purple. You've taken that show from us.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, 7 and 7 is the only song that because I love Little Feat, but I don't want to hear Deep Purple do Dixie Chicken. And anyway, we got to move on because I'm like, I don't even want to talk. It's depressing me. Could you imagine if that's like the last album they ever do?
No.
Right? That's the thing that I'm like, that's like been bothering me for months. I'm like, please don't let this be the last studio album you guys do.
I am so desperate to hope that they've got Bob Ezrin locked in a cupboard right now.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, God. Anyway. All right. So my bottom two, sorry, I got to go Slaves and Masters.
Choice.
And here's the catch. I love Rainbow. I love Joe Lynn Turner. I don't want to see him in Deep Purple. This to me is not a Deep Purple album. Is it awful? Nah, it's not awful. King of Dreams is pretty good. Fire in the Basement is a great song.
Yep.
The rest of it's kind of wishy-washy. I don't know. I don't want to hear Bent Out of Shape Part 2 as a Deep Purple album. I just don't. And I saw them on this tour, and I was kind of like, yeah, this doesn't work. And John and Ian just totally did not seem like they were having a good time. And I was like, eh. And I listen to this now, and I'm like, it's got its moments, but I don't want Joe Lynn Turner in Deep Purple. It's just not a Deep Purple album to me. So that's one of them. And I really struggled with picking another one. And I had a couple that I was kind of toying with. And I ultimately went back to Mark 1 because I'm like, you know what? I like a lot of the stuff on the Mark 1 albums, but there's a lot that I don't like. To me, I think if you took because all those albums are really short, if you took like all the best material from the Mark 1 albums and get rid of all these wishy-washy psychedelic pop cover tunes and shit, I think you've got a great album there. And I think one that kind of sticks out the most that probably is my least favorite is the Book of Talisman, which again has some good moments. It really does. Has some stuff I don't really like though, like Ring That Neck obviously is tremendous. That's an original song that would go on to become kind of like a minor early Deep Purple classic, right? Great album cover, right?
An album cover. That's an album cover.
Yeah. The album has its charm to it, but I'm not big on Kentucky Woman. Never was. Them doing the Beatles, We Can Work It Out. I can give or take without it. Them doing River Deep Mountain High by Ike and Tina Turner. That's good because it's big and long and experimental. They do some cool stuff on there. Listen, Learn, Read Out, the opener. That's good hard rock. Anthem has some cool Mellotron. Otherwise, I don't really care for the song that much. Shield. So overall, I don't know. It's got its charm. I don't think it's as strong as the album that came before it and the album that came after it. And I thought of House of Blue Light. I thought of Bananas. I thought of Battle Rages On. But I kind of really dig all those, to an extent. And I think I don't know. I'm going with this one today. Could change my mind tomorrow. I don't. Other than the covers album, I don't hate any Deep Purple album. And even Slaves and Masters that I make fun of quite a bit, there's enough there that is okay. But everything else, I have found a lot of stuff to like on. So that was kind of tough for me. But yeah, I'll go with those two today. And I just realized I forgot my wild card. So while Steven is talking, I'm just going to run over to the Deep Purple shelf because they have an entire shelf dedicated to Deep Purple down in the corner. So I'll be right back.
Okay, so wild card, I found this to be the difficult thing because strange enough for a real headline act, there are lots of little curios in the Purple catalogue. There are, in its own way, that's a wild card. It's a one-off album by a one-off lineup. It's bloody great. It's not my wild card. You've got to talk about Purple live albums. You just have to at some point because there's so many. They're so good. Okay, there's just so many, and they're so good. Right? These are great albums, and there are, definitive versions of songs that are great in the studio on these albums. yeah, I put this in as a kind of wild card because I really like this. Okay, well, no, it's okay, right? I don't really like it. Somebody in the comments going, he really likes that. I don't really like it. I don't think it's the best album in the world ever, but it's not as bad as these two make it. They know nothing, right? Zero. Okay, and I do also like the lesser spotted Mark 6 Deep Purple. Okay, because I do really like my bootleg with them playing with Joe Satriani. Right, this is really good. It shouldn't work. That shouldn't work. You listen to Satch's albums and you think, yeah, okay, there's lots of blues in there. It's really not, right? I mean, there is latterly, to be fair, but by this stage there wasn't. Satch was not really playing blues. And I know that Deep Purple just don't play blues, but that's the basis for all of it up to a certain point in the catalogue. It's all based from blues. And Satch is more about technique, and he's more about, you know, showing you exactly what he can do and structuring that into songs that they are songs without vocals. But man, oh man, he slots in here perfectly. It's just so absolutely excellent.
And I tell you, I think that might be the one Deep Purple live album that I don't have.
This is a bootleg.
Got a ton of them, and I don't have that one.
What's
that one? What's that called?
It's called Live in Japan 1993 featuring Joe Satriani. Catchy. It's very catchy. So this is a bootleg, as I say. This was bought back in the days when I was going to record fairs and looking for little curios and things, and coming away and thinking, wow, okay, this won't work. It's great. It's absolutely great. And there are other Satch shows with Purple available online because you can download so many.
I got to track that down.
Yeah. Never officially available, so you're hopefully no one will see that as infringing copyright and all that sort of malarkey. However, and I don't usually like to do this because I've often said before that highlighting the current version of a band as a wild card cheapens it. However, the version of the band that initially was Steve Morse and John Lord, and then Steve Morse and Don Airey, is much lamented, really. A lot of people just kind of dismiss it. I am fascinated by how many people kind of go, so are the newer albums any good? Oh, wow, they're good.
Or they're still together? Oh, I didn't know they're still together.
Yeah, Wish is excellent, really good. I don't think it's the best of the last three, because the last three, for my money, are a little above Rapture of the Deep, a little above Bananas, Abandon, Perpendicular. You know, I really like Infinite, right? You know, it's really good, really like it. But it does have, okay, I mean, it's got a really pointless cover of bloody Roadhouse Blues on it. Don't do that. Just please don't do that.
That was
the
beginning of the damn.
No, yeah.
That was like a foreshadowing of what we just got last year.
But they should have listened to it and just gone, bollocks, right? Because that's what it is. It's not even a good version of it, and it's a song I don't like, and it's not even a good version of a song I don't like. So if somebody was to say to me, okay, Stephen, convince me that the current version of Deep Purple is really, really good, I would say, now what? This is really good. It's such a clever album from a band that seemed to be lost for a little while. The albums with Morse are all good, but they kind of lack a little bit of personality. They kind of lack a little bit of character. You know, they don't really have that, you know, this is what we are, this is what we're about. By this stage, they really do. They've settled into something a little bit different. They've understood where their strengths, and if I was to be honest, their weaknesses are. There is no point, I think, pretending that Ian Pace can play, no pun intended, at the pace that he used to, okay? I don't think there's any point pretending that Ian Gillan can hit the notes that he used to, because what man of that age, other than Glenn Hughes, okay, can, right? Because nobody can. It's physically, apart from the exception to prove the rule, impossible. So what we do is we write really good, solid, exciting, groove-laden songs that are within the capability of the band that are there, and you suddenly go, wow, these guys really can play. This is why they were so good, because they can adapt the sound and they can do something slightly different. And excuse me, I would say that the last three albums have a real signature sound. You can put them on back to back, as I did this week, and kind of go, yeah, wow, there's a journey and a story here between these three albums, and they all talk to each other, and they all are really relevant. And the band credit Bob Ezrin, who produced all three, has been a major player in that evolution. They felt lost, and it took a legendary producer who's had some highs and lows in his career to come in and kind of go, just play, enjoy it. That seems to have been the key, and that's what comes across here. This is a band at a stage of their career where you would think, they're just playing shows and not bothering with albums, as it seemed to be they were going to do they're having great fun here. And I can almost forgive the covers album because they just continue to have great fun, but it's garbage. This really is not, okay? It's really not. And neither are they. And I'm sorry if I've stolen people's thunder because I've highlighted all three, but it's really important to me that these three albums are highlighted because Deep Purple, right now, the last three albums are pretty fantastic. So that's my wild card.
I would agree 100%. More on that later. Simon.
More on that now.
There you go.
Oh, look out there. Can you see and hear it? That's my thunder. Yes. In a massive shock, Deep Purple, 50 years into their career, roughly, have the ability to make albums that start and flow from the beginning to the end. Whoosh. When I'm listening to Whoosh, which I've obviously done a lot recently, but when I do, it's one of those albums. Really don't want to answer the phone, don't want to do shit because it's really good. I don't think it has anything that stands out as being awe-inspiringly, brilliantly, like the tracks that we discussed. But it's just like people that know what they're doing. And Don Airey is brilliant on everything. He's even brilliant on this, which I'm now never going to touch again till I put it back upstairs. But nonetheless, he really is. It's just, you can pick this up really cheap and you'll be really pleased that you did.
Yeah.
Certainly here in the UK. Yeah. Yes, I'll go with you about what, but I really like Infinite. And when I picked this up, I thought to myself, wow, it's the rock album of the year because I peeled off the hype sticker and put it back in, and you open it up and you think, oh right, because like your Deep Purple, it's like in ice. Yeah, this is going to be shit, and it's not. It's really good. Side A and side A and side B. The first album were great. Look, they even look like Rammstein at one point. It's just really, really good. But you know what, Stephen, you are, as always, 100% correct. Why the cover of Road Ice? They've broken Simon's golden rule. Number one is don't cover Chuck Berry. Number two is don't go anywhere near the doors. And they did. But it's, again, if I didn't have to get up and turn it over, because it's an album, it's a vinyl album, yeah. Just a really joyful listen from start to finish, from people that have an absolute vague idea of what they're doing, what they're playing, a producer who knows what a record should sound like, and that's not really fucking loud, which all modern music is, isn't it? It's really loud. Yeah. Just saying. Investigate modern Purple, but not Slaves and Masters.
which isn't all that modern anymore, right? But
to me, it's modern.
Yeah,
it's only 30 years. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see myself and my UK comrades are on the same wavelength here, because I thought the same thing. I was like, well, I could go the album with Tommy Bolin. That's a great album. That's not quite the wild card. I thought about like Perpendicular Abandon, which are really good. Probably my favorites from the early part of the Morse era when John was still in the band. But then I was like, you know what, though? I think the perfect wild card for this show is either one of the three Ezrin albums, not counting the covers album, obviously. And then I was like, and you both showed two of them. You showed all three of them. All three are worthy because they're all three really good. And I've listened to all three a ton. And I think all three of them have taken over as my three favorites of the Morse era, even over Perpendicular and Abandon, which I like both of those a lot. I decided ultimately to go with the one that I probably listened to the most, that maybe connects with me just a little bit more, but all three of them connect with me greatly. And that's Now What. I remember when I got this and I heard a Simple song and I was like, wow, this is what I want to hear from this band. And Simon, you hit it on the nose as always. Don Airey kills it on these 3 albums. I mean, I'm as big a John Lord fan as anybody, and I miss him, but Don has stepped into that role and just hit it out of the park. There is so much cool keyboards on this album, and maybe to slightly take a little bit away from Morse on this album, because I think Morse is a little more reserved on this album. It's almost like Bob Ezrin said, okay, Steve, play it a little closer, right? We're going to let Don shine a little bit on this album because, man, Where to Stand and Above and Beyond, Blood from a Stone. I mean, Don is all over these songs. How cool is Vincent Price? What a great, fun song. There's just every song on here is great. Every song on here is great. Even It'll Be Me, the bonus track, is kind of okay, right? Pretty good. But yeah, this is just absolutely amazing. And the other 2 that follow it are as well. I mean, Infinite and the latest one are also great as well. And I don't remember which one of you 2 said it, but Bob Ezrin has brought a sound to this band, whereas now these 3 albums sound like, even though it's the same lineup that we've had for a while, it's almost like this is a new mark for them, because there is a certain, you could play these 3 albums back to back to back, and it sounds like one long recording session. They're cut from the same cloth. So something has happened here with this marriage, this partnership between Deep Purple and Bob Ezrin, and it works. And by God, I hope that they continue to work with this man for as long as they're going to make albums, because I think they've hit the spark. Back in the old days, I worked with Martin Birch and various other people, but this is a partnership that, for me anyway, really works. And I'll echo what Simon said too. If you haven't listened to the last, again, not the covers album, if you haven't listened to the last 3 regular studio albums from Deep Purple, you are really missing out. And if you have listened to them, maybe you gave them a quick listen, you're like, it doesn't sound like Smoke on the Water or Machine Head or whatever. It's not supposed to. Listen to it and let it seep into your psyche and appreciate it for what it is. And for what it is a really good band who's been around a hell of a long time that is still making good heavy rock music. I'll get off my soapbox there.
Well, it's funny that there was 2 things that struck me this week as I was listening to the Morse era, but certainly those last 3 especially. The first one is that it's difficult replacing Richie Blackmore.
Of course.
Roland did a good job of it, as to be said. I mean, remarkably, Sastriani played some live shows. You could argue they've actually done it really well 3 times, which is quite bonkers when you think about it, because he should be irreplaceable. Okay, but Morse, I think in the last 3 albums, has brought more of himself to it. Yeah, he's more prevalent on some albums than he has on others. But isn't it nice after all of these years? I mean, Don Airey has played with everybody. He's got some really interesting solo albums. He's found a home. It's fascinating that Don Airey has been part of the scene longer than I've been alive. And what bands has he played with? You can name hundreds almost. What bands has he stayed with? That struck me earlier today. Is I've got loads of recordings with Don Airey on them. Loads and loads and loads. I've seen him live a couple of times with different acts. He's only stayed, to my knowledge, somebody's bound to correct me, but any length of time, length of time.
Maybe an album or 2 or 3 tops with other, but not like this.
But in terms of actual years as well, going out and playing with the same band live, 1. And I'm so glad that he finally did, because we're actually kind of going, well, he's not just capable of really doing a great job playing for this guy on that album, matching his sound to this guy. Now he's being Don Airey playing for Deep Purple, and he's not just aping the phenomenal talent that was there before him. It struck me earlier today, actually, when I was listening to his albums again. I kind of went, oh wow, that's really, how special is that? How lucky are we to have finally got to that point? So yeah. There we are. I'll stop.
No, I'm just saying that I was just like, I don't know. You know what it is? I'm always in awe of this catalog, and I think the cool thing is, and we've reiterated over and over today, is they have all these eras, and there's so much to love in every one of them for the most part. For the most part.
I love some that they don't.
So for everybody watching, you know the drill. Down in the comments below, let's hear your favorites, your least favorites, and your wild card for the mighty Deep Purple. Long may they reign as one of the godfathers of heavy rock, and it'll be a sad day when they say we're calling it quits and retiring, because I will have a big frown on my face that day. But it's coming, right? But I mean, just think, I thought it was going to be 10, 15 years ago, and they keep pulling it. As long as they stop doing this nonsense and do more of this, we've got some good years ahead. Because I mean, but they show no signs of slowing down touring. I mean, I know Steve is home taking care of his wife right now, so they've got another fella filling in for him. But and I've heard good things about the live shows they've done with, I forget what the guy's name is.
Simon McBride is the guy's name. I've seen him. He opened for, I think, Joe Sastriani a few years ago. Maybe wrong on that. I've seen him live, and he was much more of a hard rock and blues guy, was what he was, but more blues than hard rock. But he can play. He can seriously play. I haven't heard anything with him. I haven't gone and watched YouTube or anything, but I can immediately imagine him fitting in. And as you say, I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah. So I don't know how long that'll be for or whatever, but we'll see. I mean, no, Steve Morse has had issues with, he's got like carpal tunnel or some kind of stuff going on. So I know it's been more difficult for him to play as he's gotten older. So, I don't, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. I still have a little beer left. And actually, I have a lot of beer left, but you know where this is going. Yeah. Simon's got that surly look. It's like, oh, I'm out too, damn it. Yeah, Simon, you want my evil twin? No, you don't want it. I don't want it. My sink's not going to want it either, but tough. So stay tuned next week for another episode of the UK Connection. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got album homework assignment, and then on Monday we start the work week once again with the Hudson Valley Squares. So till next Saturday, for Simon, Bray, and Steven Reid, I am Pete Pardo. Have a good weekend, everybody. See you real soon. You're on the UK Connection. Take care.